Conversations are a source of value creation and value destruction in our business lives as well as our personal lives. Yet often we don't fully appreciate this, often till after the event. Yet there are some simple guidelines we can apply when we know we're going into a high stakes conversation, whether at work or whether at home. And if we have the courage to apply these guidelines, we'll get much better outcomes. And I'm going to share some evidence on that from what was a deeply personal experience. In this picture, you can see in the middle my sister and I, 6 days after I donated my left kidney to my elder sister Judith. She was 48, I was 45. In the bottom right, you see the value creation, that she and her younger daughter are at my younger daughter's wedding, sharing that experience together, perhaps in a way where they had both thought was unlikely. I think this is pretty high value family creation. At the top left, you see a picture of a conversation held with my mother and her children the year before, in June 2004, about how to deal with my sister's ill health. Probably for about 10 years, there had been lots of bilateral conversations between my mother and myself, my mother and her sister, my other brothers and sisters, but no one really pulling this together, and certainly no collective conversation, and my sister's ill health was just deteriorating. So we agreed we'd get together. Not easy to get everybody to agree because people had a lot of anxieties around the subject, more than I understood at the time. And we agreed to get together in June 2004. It was an extraordinarily successful meeting, but it was mainly an extraordinarily successful meeting because I had attended a forum moderated training program about 5 weeks before in Barcelona, being run by Ronnie Witkin, and I had put the challenge of this family conversation into the forum group. And I had heard lots of experiences of family challenges where they had failed to rise to the challenge of a high stakes conversation and it had been value destroying. And some situations where they had risen to that challenge and that was value creating. It was 2/3 in the destruction camp, 1/3 probably in the value creation camp. I paid a lot of attention to this because I suddenly realised how important this conversation was to manage well. So let's go through this relatively simple model. The first one is to be really clear on why a group is getting together. It was clear in this case to do something we had not done, which was to collectively discuss how we could support my sister. The second thing in these conversations is, where do you hold them? And who should be there? The who should be there was simple in this case. The where, we decided it should be my mother's home. That was important to her, and it really was not appropriate to be held in the home of any of our families where children and husbands and wives might be around, which would contaminate us focusing on the matter in hand. The third, so having addressed why, who and where, you need to pay attention to what habits these people have to hold a high quality conversation. How good is their self-awareness? How good is their empathic connection? Do they understand how to hold themselves in meetings? Do they have some sense of awareness of the deep-rooted habits that that group has in conversation? What is their ability to listen deeply to others? I spent a lot of time talking about this with my brothers and sisters before the meeting. And then, is there someone in the group who's got some appreciation of meeting process and how to facilitate such a conversation? Obviously, after the training program, I took on that role. And we generated what I think is the best outcome you can get in a high stakes conversation. The first one is that everybody feels fully heard. And the second one is that you make substantial progress on the subject matter. So what's your call to action here? The first thing is to recognise when a high stakes conversation is emerging, and then to work through these 5 points of why, who, where, what quality of habits of conversation do the people have, what expertise is there in managing group process. Maybe you bring in some external resource. If you think through these things and then have the courage to apply them, you will create the conditions for value creation. On reflection, I find it was amazing that I didn't really understand these things until I had that situation in Barcelona and my sister's ill health. I was 44 years old. Now we apply them frequently to all of our business clients, getting them to recognise the importance of high quality conversations in value creation. I guess the journey of life is not wisdom, It's just to become progressively less stupid. Thank you.